Okay, hello everyone. Today we begin with our course in probabilistic machine learning, and we are going to use the book by Murphy. So let me just write it here. We're going to use the book Probabilistic Machine Learning by Murphy, Volume 1 for now. Let's see if we finish it. And today's topic is we are gonna like we are not gonna go over the first chapter. We introduces machine learning and all of that because I'm assuming that if you are coming here, you already know enough about machine learning. You do not need to have an introduction. But what we are gonna have is we are gonna first of all, for the first few parts, we are not gonna do any machine learning. Machine learning in the sense that the things that we will be doing are mostly math, right? Different branches of math, for example, probability, statistics, optimization, linear algebra, and so on. So for the first eight chapters, what we're going to do is we're just going to build the mathematical foundation. Okay, so just bear with me because once these things click, then the rest of the machine learning is simply just mathematical manipulation and turning that math into code. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start with defining probability. So this video is going to be uh, focused on probability. Okay, so what is probability? Mainly, that's what we will cover here. So, first of all, again, I assume that you have a fairly intuitive idea of what probability is, but what we are going to do is we are just going to provide two different interpretation of probability. Okay, the way that we interpret it. So, for example, if I toss a coin, right, then we both we guys know you guys know that we have a 50% probability of getting a head and 50% probability of getting a tail. So we do know about probabilities, but the question comes to how do we interpret it, right? So mainly there are two interpretation. One is what we call the frequentist interpretation, okay, and the other one is what we call the Bayesian interpretation, okay. And the difference between these two is that first of all, frequentist interpretation says that probabilities represent long-run frequencies of events that can happen multiple times. Okay, so what does Murphy mean by that sentence? Is let's say I have a coin, right? Then the tossing of a coin can be repeated unlimited times. Okay, I can just keep tossing a coin as many times as I want. Okay, so if there is an event which can be repeated multiple times, right? Then probability basically represents the long-term frequencies of events. Okay. Now, what is an event here? The state of the coin here is an event. Okay. So, for example, the coin can be heads or it can be tails, right? So, whether the coin lands as a tail or as a head, it's an event. Okay. So again, if you keep that in mind that that's an event, then again, this is word for word from Murphy. Then frequentist interpretation says that probabilities represent long range, okay, or long run frequencies of events that can happen multiple times. So again, what do we mean by that? In common speak in English, basically this means again that if you keep repeating an event, okay, then the frequency with which a particular event occurs is what we call a probability. Okay, so what does that mean again? If we keep tossing a coin again and again and again, then most likely we are gonna get 50% of the time we are gonna get heads and 50% of the time we are gonna get a tail, right? And that's what we mean by, long range or long run frequencies of events. Okay, so that's the frequentist interpretation. Okay, just an aside here, and a very interesting thing which Murphy also mentions is that the probability of getting a particular uh, like heads or tails depends on where you like the what side the coin is facing when you toss it, right? So depending on that, there's actually 51% probability of getting one uh, face of the coin than the other one, and that's because of the physics of the event. You can read about it more, right? This was work done by Parsi Diakonis, who was actually an advisor of one of our teachers, Arif Zaman here at LUMS. So that's just an interesting side note here. So let me just get back to the second part, or the second interpretation of probability, right? Which is the Bayesian interpretation of probability. Okay, and Bayesian interpretation basically says that probability basically quantifies our ignorance of the state of the world. Okay, so Bayesian interpretation says that probability quantifies our ignorance of the state of the world. And what do we mean by that is that when we are tossing a coin, right, or when we are tossing a coin, right, we do not necessarily know which way it's going to land, right? And that ignorance is basically what probability accounts for. Okay, so that's the Bayesian interpretation. And like there's like all the formulas, laws, metrics that we have can be used equally, whether you are working in the Bayesian or the frequentist interpretation. But we are going to work in the Bayesian interpretation. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments, and I will be sure to reply. Other than that, we are gonna move on to uncertainty, right? Because ignorance, uncertainty, and all of these things, that's what probability relates to according to the Bayesian interpretation, right? So, what type of uncertainty can we have, right? Okay, so okay, now think about it. What uncertainty can we have when we are causing a when we are why do I keep saying causing when we are tossing a coin, right? So first of all, let's say if there is like some alien or someone who has never seen a coin, right? And you just keep giving like you give them the data about the coin, right? You tell them that okay, this is the data, and the data would look something like heads, tails, heads, 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 tails, tails, and so on, right? And this person has never seen a coin, right? So when that person looks at this data, that person does not know where this data came from, right? Or what mechanism generated this data, right? That person does not know like what by what mechanism this data was generated, right? And that is one kind of uncertainty, right? And this certainty is basically called epistemic uncertainty. Okay, this is called epistemic or sometimes model uncertainty. Epistemic because it relates to our knowledge, right? Our ignorance, right? Epistemic, basically epistemological philosophy is basically the field of philosophy dealing with knowledge, right? So epistemic uncertainty is basically quantifies our ignorance of the mechanism, right, by which the data is generated, right? So that could be one uncertainty. Given some data, right, if we don't know how that data was generated by what mechanism, then the uncertainty is called epistemic uncertainty, right? Now there can be another kind of uncertainty, right? and that can arise from, like, let's say, intrinsic variability, right? So okay, so let me just first of all mention that how can this uncertainty that we have, right, this epistemic uncertainty, be resolved? Well, again, if let's take our alien buddy once again, and let's say you just give him heads and tails, right? Then this person does not know much, right? But what happens if you keep giving him more data? Okay, let's say you keep giving him more and more and more data. Then again, as we just saw and as we know, at one point, what happens is you have as many heads as you have tails, right? And at that point, I'm assuming our alien will be smart enough, right? And what he will see is that he will notice that there are only two types of variables or labels that he's seeing here: H and T, H and D, H and T. That's all there is, right? And if he counts it, he will know that 50% of them are heads and 50% of them are tails. And then, like, again, by just some reasoning, right? It can be concluded that the mechanism is basically, we have something which can either be, let's say, zero or one, like either of the two things, right? So by collecting more data, we might be able to resolve this, right? This, like, epistemic uncertainty can be resolved this way. But now let's say you have another kind of uncertainty, right? And which I just mentioned is the uncertainty of intrinsic variability. Okay, so what that means is basically your data is uncertain. Okay, so that is basically what we call aleatoric aleatoric or data uncertainty. And this is basically like you cannot predict the next label that comes about. Okay, like let's say you have the coin, right, and you toss it, right? Now the next time that you toss it, no one can predict whether you will get a heads or a tails. Again, the probability is the same, 50%, right? So that is basically aleatoric, where alea, the way I remember, is from the famous phrase of Caesar, which is alea iectae. Yep. So alea basically means dice, right? The die is cast. So basically, this is data uncertainty, and this cannot be resolved. This is very important for machine learning, that aleatoric uncertainty or data uncertainty cannot be resolved by collecting more data. Okay, so this is the second kind of uncertainty that we have. Okay, um, great. Now, in the next video, we are going to look at probability as an extension of Boolean logic. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about the things that we studied so far, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.